Hello and welcome to today's lesson on order of operations. First, let's talk about some vocabulary words that you will need to know and understand for today's lesson. Order of operations. These are rules that tell the order in which operations in an expression should be carried out. We will look at a few examples later in this video. Here is a graphic that will help you understand the general order of operations. The saying, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally," is a saying that we will use to help us remember this order later on. Here are all of the rules for order of operations. The order of operations eliminates any confusion in number expressions by providing the steps used to evaluate them. Step number 1 is parentheses. This means that you should do any operations inside parentheses first. If there are nested parentheses, start with the innermost set of parentheses. To determine the order of operations inside parentheses, use steps 2 through 4. Step 2 is exponents. This means that you should calculate exponents in order from left to right, just like when you read a book. Step number 3 is multiplication and division. In step number 3, you should multiply and divide. Neither multiplication nor division has priority over the other. Simply work from left to right. This means that just because a multiplication problem comes second, you don't have to do it first. You should do the multiplication and division in whichever order it comes in the sentence when you're reading from left to right. Step number 4 is addition and subtraction. In this step, you should add and subtract. Neither addition nor subtraction has priority over the other, just like with multiplication and division. You simply work from left to right in the problem and do each one as you come to them. Now, let's look at some examples to see how the order of operations really works. As you can see, I have put a small graphic up in this corner just to remind myself the order of operations. One more time, this is parentheses, exponents, multiply and or divide, and then add and or subtract. First, I am going to evaluate this number sentence. It is 3 times 10 divided by 5 plus 18 divided by 3. We are going to use the order of operations to figure out what this equals. According to the order of operations, the first thing I need to do is evaluate any numbers that are inside parentheses, but there aren't any, so I can skip this step. The second thing I need to do is evaluate any numbers that have an exponent attached to them. Again, there aren't any, so I can also skip this step. My third step is to evaluate any part of the problem that has multiplication or division. Because of this, I am going to start with the numbers 3 times 10. 3 times 10 equals 30, so I am going to rewrite this expression like this. Now my expression reads 30 divided by 5 plus 18 divided by 3 equals. The next step that I am going to take is to evaluate the very first multiplication or division that I find. This, 30 divided by 5. I am going to rewrite my expression again to look like this. Now I am left with 6 plus 18 divided by 3. The next part of this problem that I need to deal with, because I still have division left in my expression, is 18 divided by 3. When I rewrite it, it will look like this. Since 18 divided by 3 is 6, I am left with the expression 6 plus 6 equals. I know that 6 plus 6 equals 12, so my final answer will look like this. 3 times 10 divided by 5 plus 18 divided by 3 equals 12. As you can see, I have evaluated all parts of this expression using the order of operations of parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, and finally addition and subtraction. Let's look at another example. This problem reads 4 plus 5 times 2 plus 3 minus 10 times 2 equals. The first thing I have to do is evaluate everything that's inside of parentheses, because that's my first step. When I do that, my problem will change to look like this. Since 4 plus 5 is 9, I've written 9 here. I've included my multiplication symbol again because I have not yet used that. Since 2 plus 3 equals 5, I've written that here. I've also included my subtraction symbol because I haven't used that one yet. Finally, 10 times 2 equals 20, so I've written that here and moved my equal sign down. In this problem, I also have no exponents, so I don't need to do that step. My next step is to work with the multiplication and division. Since there is no division, only multiplication, all I need to do is start with 9 times 5. When I work with 9 times 5, what I get is this. 9 times 5 is 45, so I've written that here, along with my subtraction symbol, and my number 20 with my equal symbol because I haven't used those yet. My final step is to evaluate the addition and subtraction. Because there is only addition in this one, or subtraction in this one, I can ignore the addition part and simply solve the problem 45 minus 20. 45 minus 20 is equal to 25, so my final answer will look like this. 4 plus 5 times 2 plus 3 minus 10 times 2 equals 25. Let's take one more moment to look at a couple of more examples. This problem reads 5 plus 5 to the power of 2 equals. According to the order of operations, the first thing I need to do is begin by evaluating everything inside the parentheses. So I will start with the numbers 5 plus 5. 5 plus 5 is 10, and I have to carry my exponent down from up here because I haven't used it yet. My second step is to evaluate anything that is attached to an exponent. I do actually have one of those in this problem, so next I'm going to evaluate 10 to the second power. When I do this, my problem will end up looking like this. 5 plus 5 to the second power equals 100. Let's look at one final problem before we finish. This problem reads 5 squared times 3 squared equals. According to the order of operations, I need to evaluate anything that's inside parentheses first. This problem doesn't have that, so I can move on to my next step. My next step is to evaluate anything with an exponent. Each of these numbers has an exponent, so I am going to evaluate 5 squared separately from 3 squared. When I do this, my problem will look like this. 5 squared is 25, and 3 squared is 9, so my new problem reads 25 times 9 equals. Finally, I need to evaluate any numbers that are attached to multiplication or division symbols. As you can see, the only thing I have left is a multiplication symbol, so I will evaluate that last to solve the problem. I need to find the product of 25 times 9. When I do this, my problem will end up looking like this. 5 squared times 3 squared equals 225. Here is your practice problem for the day. 10 squared plus 3 times 8 minus 14 times 2 equals. Don't forget to use the correct order of operations. Here is that helpful picture from the vocabulary slide. Remember that please excuse my dear Aunt Sally stands for please or parentheses, excuse or exponents, my or multiplication, dear division, Aunt addition, and Sally subtraction. Don't forget to show each individual step that you take, rewriting the problem fresh each time. At the end, rewrite the entire problem with the answer written after the equals symbol. Good luck!